There's a 2,000-year-old computer sitting in a museum that we still don't fully understand. A giant sphere in Costa Rica carved with such precision that it's perfectly round to within millimeters, made by people who supposedly had no advanced tools. A manuscript written in a language that has defeated every codebreaker, computer algorithm, and linguistic expert for over a century. And these aren't conspiracy theories. These are real artifacts, sitting in museums, examined by scientists who have absolutely no idea how they were made or what they mean. Today, we're diving into 10 ancient mysteries that have baffled the world's smartest people. No aliens, no pseudoscience, just genuine, unexplained puzzles from our past that prove ancient people knew things we've completely forgotten. Let's start with something that shouldn't exist. Number one, the Antikythera Mechanism, the ancient computer. In 1901, divers exploring a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera found a corroded lump of bronze. When scientists cleaned it, they discovered something impossible: a sophisticated mechanical computer built around 100 BCE. This device has over 30 bronze gears, intricate, precisely cut gears that calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. It predicts eclipses. It tracks the Olympic Games. It's essentially an ancient astronomical calculator that shouldn't exist for another 1,500 years. The technology required to build this disappeared after the Roman Empire fell and wasn't reinvented until the 14th century. That's a 1,300-year gap where this knowledge just vanished. We've used X-rays, CT scans, and computer modeling to understand how it works. We know what it does. But we still can't answer the fundamental questions. Who built it? How many existed? What happened to the knowledge? This wasn't a one-off miracle device. You don't create something this sophisticated without decades of development. There should be simpler versions, prototypes, copies. Where are they? Did ancient Greeks have an entire tradition of mechanical computing that was completely lost? We don't know. And that's terrifying because it means we might have lost other technologies we don't even know existed. Number two, the Voynich Manuscript, the unbreakable code. Imagine a 240-page book filled with illustrations of plants that don't exist, astronomical charts that make no sense, and naked women in strange plumbing systems. Every page is covered in elaborate handwriting in a language nobody can read. This is the Voynich Manuscript, dated to the early 15th century. Professional codebreakers who cracked Nazi Enigma codes tried to decode it. Failed. Linguists who speak dozens of languages tried. Failed. Computer algorithms that can detect patterns in any known language tried. Failed. The text follows statistical patterns of real language. It has grammar, structure, word frequency distributions. It's not random gibberish, but it's not any language we know. Some theories, it's an elaborate hoax. But why spend years creating a fake book with consistent fake language? It's a cipher, but no cipher method works. It's an extinct language. But why would it describe plants that don't exist? Here's what makes it truly bizarre. The plants drawn in the manuscript look almost real. They have roots, leaves, flowers drawn in careful detail. But botanists can't identify a single one. They're not stylized versions of real plants. They're plants that simply don't match anything in Earth's botanical record. The astronomical charts show stars and symbols, but they don't match any known astronomical system from that era. Hundreds of people have dedicated their lives to solving this. Carbon dating confirms it's genuinely old. The ink is period appropriate. The vellum is real. It's not a modern hoax. But after 600 years, It remains completely unreadable. Either someone created the world's most elaborate prank, or this is knowledge we've lost access to entirely. Number 3. The Stone Spheres of Costa Rica, Perfect Geometry. In the 1930s, workers clearing jungle for banana plantations in Costa Rica discovered hundreds of stone spheres, some small, some absolutely massive, over 2 meters in diameter, weighing 15 tons. Here's the mystery. Many are perfectly spherical within millimeters. We're talking precision that modern stonemasons struggle to achieve even with advanced tools. These were carved by the Dikis culture around 600 to 1000 CE. They had stone tools, no metal, no wheels, no advanced mathematics that we know of. How do you carve a perfect sphere from granite using only stone tools? Try it. Take a rock and try to make it perfectly round by hitting it with other rocks. You'll create something vaguely ball-shaped at best. These spheres have precision that suggests mathematical knowledge of geometry and measurement that supposedly didn't exist in the Americas until Europeans arrived. Some spheres originally stood in perfect geometric alignments, triangles, straight lines, complex patterns. Why? Were they astronomical markers, territorial boundaries, art, religious symbols? We don't know who made them. The Dikis had no writing system, so they left no explanation. When Spanish conquistadors arrived, the knowledge was already lost. Local people had no idea who created the spheres or why. Modern archaeologists can barely move these things with cranes and trucks. How did people without wheels transport 15-ton, perfectly round stones through dense jungle and position them in precise geometric patterns? Nobody knows. 4. Göbekli Tepe, the temple that predates civilization. Everything you know about human civilization is based on a simple timeline. First agriculture, then settlements, then religion, then massive architecture. Göbekli Tepe destroys that timeline. This is a massive temple complex in Turkey with enormous carved stone pillars arranged in circles. It was built around 9600 BCE. That's 11,600 years ago. It predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years. It predates the pyramids by 7,000 years. Here's the problem. It was built before agriculture, before permanent settlements, before pottery, before metal tools. According to everything we thought we knew, the people who built this were supposed to be nomadic hunter-gatherers living in small bands. Instead, they somehow organized hundreds of people to quarry, carve, transport, and erect 20-ton stone pillars decorated with elaborate carvings of animals, symbols, and abstract designs. The pillars show sophisticated artistic ability and planning. Some have T-shapes with carved arms and hands, almost anthropomorphic. The whole complex suggests organized religion, social hierarchy, and communal effort on a massive scale. This means our entire understanding of civilization's development is wrong. People built monumental religious architecture first, then developed agriculture to feed the workers. Religion came before farming, not after. Why was it built? We don't know. What religion did it serve? No idea. Why was it deliberately buried around 8000 BCE? Complete mystery. Göbekli Tepe is less than 5% excavated. Ground-penetrating radar shows at least 20 more similar structures buried nearby. We might be looking at the world's first city, built 6,000 years before cities were supposed to exist. Number 5. The Baghdad Battery, Ancient Electricity. In 1936, archaeologists excavating near Baghdad found clay jars from around 200 BCE. Each jar contains a copper cylinder with an iron rod inside. When you fill them with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, they generate electrical current. These are batteries, functional batteries, from 2,200 years ago. Mainstream archaeology says they were used for electroplating, coating objects with thin layers of gold using electrical current. That's impressive enough, but here's the question. Why do we have no evidence of the intermediate development? You don't just accidentally create batteries. Someone had to understand that combining these specific metals in acidic solution produces electricity. They needed to experiment, fail, refine the design. Where's that development process? And what else did they use electricity for? If you can electroplate, what else can you do with electrical current? Ancient texts from the region mention eternal lights that burned in temples. Were these electric lights powered by batteries? Skeptics argue the jars might have just stored scrolls. But why use iron rods and copper cylinders for scroll storage? That's unnecessarily complex. Replicas of these batteries work perfectly. They generate voltage. But we have no ancient texts describing them, no clear evidence of what they powered, no explanation of how the knowledge was discovered. It's possible that ancient Mesopotamians discovered electricity, used it for specific purposes, and the knowledge was lost when the civilization fell. We might have had to rediscover electricity 2,000 years later, not knowing it had been discovered before. Number 6, the Nazca Line's massive desert drawings. In the Peruvian desert, there are enormous drawings carved into the ground, a spider 150 feet long, a hummingbird with a 300-foot wingspan, geometric shapes stretching for miles. They were created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the Nazca culture. Here's the mystery. You can only see them properly from the air. From ground level, they're just shallow trenches. From a few hundred feet up, they're perfect, massive drawings. The Nazca had no aircraft, no hot air balloons, no way to fly. So how did they create perfect large-scale drawings without being able to see what they were drawing? The precision is astounding. These aren't rough sketches. They're mathematically precise. Lines stay perfectly straight for miles. Curves are smooth and consistent. They used a grid system or sophisticated planning, but we don't know how. Why create them? Popular theories, astronomical calendar, religious pathways, water-finding maps. But none fully explain it. Some lines point to water sources, but not all. Some align with solstices, but not consistently. Some seem to be ceremonial paths, but they go nowhere. The strangest part, the Nazca people seem to have maintained these lines for 1,000 years. That's 40 generations, carefully preserving drawings they couldn't fully see. Why? What was so important about them? Modern researchers with GPS and computers struggle to replicate their precision. The Nazca did it with ropes and stakes. We know how they made the lines physically, removed dark rocks to expose lighter sand underneath. But we don't know how they planned them, why they made them, or what they meant to the people who spent centuries maintaining them. Number 7, the Longyu Caves, hand-carved caverns. In 1992, a farmer in China's Zhejiang province decided to pump water from a pond. As the water drained, he discovered something impossible: massive underground caverns carved from solid rock. These aren't natural caves. Every surface is hand-carved with precise chisel marks. The walls, ceilings, and pillars show consistent tool marks. The Longyu Caves date back at least 2,000 years. Here's the mystery. Why is there no record of building them? Moving the estimated 1 million cubic meters of stone would have taken thousands of workers decades. Where did the excavated stone go? Where are the historical records? Why isn't this massive construction project mentioned in any Chinese historical text? The caverns are huge, some over 30 meters tall. They have rooms, pillars, staircases, all carved from solid rock. The pillars aren't structural. The rock ceiling doesn't need them. They're decorative. Someone spent enormous effort carving unnecessary pillars. The walls have decorative patterns carved everywhere. But what's carved is mysterious. Simple patterns, lines, some fish symbols. Nothing explaining who built this or why. Most bizarre, there are 24 known caves, probably more undiscovered. That's not a single project. That's a massive, sustained construction effort over potentially centuries. How do you hide that? Why would you? No ancient texts mention it. No legends describe it. It's as if thousands of people worked for decades on a massive underground complex, and nobody thought to write it down. Number 8, the Sacsayhuaman Walls. Impossible precision. Outside Cusco, Peru, there's a wall made of stones so precisely fitted that you can't slide a piece of paper between them. No mortar, just stone on stone, cut so perfectly they fit together like a 3D puzzle. Some stones weigh over 120 tons. They have irregular shapes, not rectangular blocks, but complex polygonal shapes with 12 or more sides, each side cut to fit perfectly against its neighbors. The Inca said they didn't build this. It was already there when they arrived. They attributed it to an earlier culture or even gods. Here's the mystery. How do you cut irregular, multi-sided stones weighing 120 tons so precisely that they fit together perfectly? You can't just try them in place. They're too heavy to move repeatedly. You'd need to carve them perfectly the first time. The Inca had no iron tools. They used bronze and stone. Try cutting granite precisely with bronze tools. You'll understand the problem. Modern engineers have attempted to replicate this using traditional tools. They can't achieve the same precision. Even with modern equipment, creating perfectly fitted irregular shapes at this scale is challenging. The stones didn't come from nearby. They were quarried miles away and transported somehow. Moving 120-ton irregular stones over rough terrain without wheels or draft animals shouldn't be possible with ancient technology. Some stones have protrusions, knobs sticking out. Why? Some researchers think they're attachment points for ropes or moving devices, but nobody's sure. The precision suggests either lost technology or construction methods we don't understand. When Spanish conquistadors saw these walls, they thought giants must have built them. Modern engineers, with all our technology, still find them impressive and mysterious. Number 9, the Piri-Reis map. Antarctica before ice? In 1929, scholars discovered an Ottoman map from 1513 drawn by Admiral Piri-Reis. It shows the coast of South America and, impossibly, the northern coast of Antarctica, with accurate geographic detail. Here's the problem. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, and it's been covered by ice for thousands of years. How could a 1513 map show Antarctic coastline that should have been hidden under ice? Piri-Reis wrote notes on the map saying he compiled it from about 20 source maps, some very ancient, including maps from the time of Alexander the Great. Modern analysis using seismic data shows the coastline on the map matches the actual coastline under the ice. That coastline hasn't been visible for at least 6,000 years. This suggests either someone mapped Antarctica before it froze over, 6,000 plus years ago, or ancient civilizations had knowledge of Antarctica that was somehow preserved and copied through centuries. Skeptics argue the Antarctica on the map is actually a distorted South American coast, but the match to sub-ice coastline is too accurate to be coincidence. Where did Piri-Reis get his source maps? Who mapped Antarctica thousands of years ago? How did that knowledge survive? We don't know, but it suggests ancient civilizations had geographical knowledge far beyond what we credit them with. Number 10, the Great Pyramid's precision, mathematical perfection. Yes, everyone knows about the pyramids, but the precision of the Great Pyramid of Giza isn't appreciated enough. The base is level to within 2 centimeters over a base length of 230 meters. That's 0.00009% error. The 4 sides align to true north, south, east, and west to within 1/15 of a degree. The pyramid's dimensions encode mathematical constants. The ratio of perimeter to height is 2 pi. Exactly. The ratio appears to encode the golden ratio. The dimensions relate to the Earth's size and the mathematical constant phi. Here's the mystery. The ancient Egyptians supposedly didn't know pi precisely. They didn't have the mathematical tools to calculate these ratios, yet the pyramid embodies them perfectly. Some Egyptologists say it's coincidence, but the chances of accidentally encoding multiple mathematical constants while also achieving near-perfect cardinal alignment and leveling are astronomical. And we still don't know exactly how they built it. Moving 2.3 million stones, some weighing 80 tons, without wheels or iron tools, and stacking them with such precision that the entire structure is straight to within centimeters. We can theorize, but we don't know for certain. Modern architects can build taller structures, but they can't match the pyramid's precision relative to the technology available. That's what makes it a mystery. Not that it exists, but that it exists with such perfection, given the supposed limitations of the builders. 10 mysteries, 10 genuine puzzles that scientists, archaeologists, and engineers can't fully explain. Not because we lack technology or intelligence, but because the knowledge that created these things was lost. Civilizations rise and fall. Knowledge is forgotten. Technologies disappear. The Antikythera Mechanism proves ancient people had mechanical computing. The Voynich Manuscript suggests languages or knowledge we can't access. The Costa Rican Spheres show mathematical precision that shouldn't exist. Göbekli Tepe rewrites the timeline of civilization itself. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are real objects you can visit, touch, examine. Museums display them, scientists study them, and after decades or centuries of research, we still have more questions than answers. What does this tell us? That ancient people weren't primitive. They knew things we've forgotten. They could do things we struggle to explain. And most importantly, entire chunks of human knowledge have been lost to time. We like to think human progress is linear, always forward, always improving. These mysteries prove that's not true. Knowledge can be lost. Capabilities can disappear. Civilizations can achieve something remarkable and then vanish, leaving only mysterious artifacts behind. Maybe someday we'll solve these mysteries. Maybe new technology or discoveries will provide answers. Or maybe some things will remain unknown forever, reminders that the past is far stranger and more sophisticated than we imagine. Thanks for watching. If this made you question what else we've lost, hit subscribe. Next week, ancient technologies that are so advanced we still can't replicate them today. Drop a comment. Which mystery bothers you most? What do you think explains it? See you in the next one.